So today I just wanted to open up about how church hurt has caused me a lot of spiritual confusion. And I'm just gonna see where this video goes. I'm not quite sure where it's gonna end up, but these are just my rambling thoughts about how I was reared and how it's affected me as an adult. A lot of you know my story of how I grew up in this Southern Baptist church, and it was, I gotta say, it was almost like a cult. That was my experience of it. I had a lot of church growing up. Wednesday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Saturday visitation, and Monday through Friday chapel. It was pretty much every single day of the week I was doing some kind of church activity. And in our church environment and also in my home environment, I was motivated to always be serving. That was my role. I was to serve. And also my role at home was, as the oldest child, was to help my mom out and be her support system and kind of carry the load of taking over when my dad wasn't there, just to kind of be the leader in the home. And so I had a lot of responsibilities in the church and in home, and being a good girl and a people pleaser and all those things are just kind of rolled up into one. As I'm getting older, I'm trying to pull out the strings and decipher who I actually am and what do I want to decide to be, and that my yes will be a hell yes, that I will be excited to do the things of God and not feel this false obligation to serve, because this is how I was reared, and also this is what I was taught in religion. I want my relationship with God to be authentic. From my young perspective, I thought that the approval of the leadership in church was pretty much in line with the approval of God. So that if I made my parents happy, if I was acceptable to the church people, for some reason that God would be happy with me. That the authorities in life were pretty much synonymous with the authority of God. My mom's a wonderful person. In fact, she is very giving and very kind, and she really doesn't do very much for herself. And as the years have gone on, I've seen this toll on her own life and her own marriage because she did not have good boundaries. And so these are the boundaries that I actually learned at home, was that I was meant to serve. And so if I wasn't serving, then I was failing somehow. And to this day, I kind of struggle with, am I being selfish because I need time alone? I'm an introvert, and when I pour out on other people, I feel this huge depletion. I get a headache, I just need to wind down and get in a quiet room, and that's how my energy levels are, and that's just how my personality is. And for years, I beat myself up thinking that I'm a bad person because I need that. And at the end of the day, what I'm learning is that God is showing that we are accountable for also understanding ourselves and meeting those needs, so that we don't go out into the world depleted, expecting other people to read our mind, to fill our needs, to fulfill what we desire. We are responsible for ourselves. And so this is something I've come to learn through my mentorships and through other relationships, that it's okay to have boundaries. It's okay that I have needs, and it's okay if I need to meet those needs and not pour out continuously. You know, I was really frustrated growing up because I felt like everything that I was not acceptable to God. I was taught when I was younger that loving fashion or being into makeup, that was a bad thing. We weren't encouraged to do those things, and we were kind of shamed for liking those things. Like, you are not a spiritual person. You must not love God if you like mascara. That is so vain. And I don't know how to describe it. It was just very religious. I just remember there was a huge separation of, this is what worldly people wear and this is what we wear. This is how worldly people present themselves, and this is how we present ourselves. I just thought that's how God thought, because that's what I was taught in church. So I felt very guilty for liking fashion, for loving makeup, for just being a girly girl. I felt very, very shamed and guilted by that. In turn, I kind of just ran from the church. I thought, it's really hard to serve God. He's never happy with whatever I do. It seems like I do a certain amount and it still isn't good enough. And now just the fabric of who I am isn't good enough. And I wasn't feeling good enough or smart enough at home. And so I just got so fed up, so confused that I ran to the other direction, and I ran into the world. And I just wanted to explore what does the world have to offer? And the sad part was I got a lot of acceptance in the world. I wasn't shamed for loving to be a girl and wanting to be involved in fashion and all that kind of stuff. And so people ask me all the time, because of my personality, like, I can't really see you being a stripper. Like, why were you drawn to that job? And there's probably a lot of deep psychological damage that would explain that job. But even on the surface level, I was really attracted to the fact that I could dress up and I could wear makeup and I could write it off. And this was just part of who I was, and I was being celebrated. And in this environment, people used to tell me, like, what are you doing here? You're a good girl. Like, why are you here? And I was being told that there was something wrong with me. I was stupid. I was just a bad kid because I didn't agree with the rules in the church. It felt like acceptance. It felt like love. It felt like I could be myself. Finally, I was accepted for who I felt I was. And of course, my identity isn't wrapped up in wearing makeup or having fancy outfits. My identity and my personality and who I am is something that God cares about. And growing up in a religious environment just has taught me something else. I have to admit that even though I serve in a church, I understand people who are repelled by church, because I still have issues sometimes with church. I know that people have a certain expectation of people that go to church. And a lot of times people can go to church for years and know how to mask for the strangers, but in their own household, they are not doing church. And so for me to live authentically, I want to live in the place where I am living church in the privacy of my own home, in my marriage, in my relationships. And then as I serve in church, it's just an outpouring of my natural life. It's not a performance thing. I don't know where I'm going with this video, but I just feel like I think somebody needs to hear it, that God doesn't really necessarily care if you have everything down to perfection. He cares about your heart. Where is your heart? Since I've come back to God, I have seen the goodness of God, and I've seen him loving me. Not accepting me in all my sin, but accepting me as a person. And then just wanting to buff and refine and bring out the best in me, and also chip away at the stuff that is not good for me. And this takes time. And so religion will want you to look a certain way or perform a certain way or say certain things. And I just call bullshit on that stuff. I don't believe that because you swear or you have a drink that you're going to hell, and because you like makeup or that you struggle with pornography, that you're going to hell. And these are the things that I was told growing up. And these are the things that I'm learning are just part of life. And if we can't be real with our brothers and sisters in Christ, if we cannot admit that we're struggling in certain areas, then that sin will take a stronghold and it will take dominion over us. And so it's really important in the church for people to learn how to be authentic, to know who they are, to know what they need, and then to know who is safe to share those needs and to pray with, because we cannot do this on our own. I'm probably going to struggle with never feeling good enough till the day that I die, because this is something that has been a lifelong struggle for me. And this is where my personal relationship with God comes in. I journal with him every day, and I try to find out what he has to say about me and let that take dominion over what my own personal thoughts are, my feelings are, what someone else is projecting on me or expecting from me. I need to regroup and say, God, what do you have to say? And then believe that and live from that place, knowing that I am truly trying my very best. And it may not look good to another Christian. They may see me and go, wow, she's a horrible believer. But I know where I used to be, and I know where I am going with him every day. And it doesn't matter what it looks like to somebody else. God knows that I'm working with him on those things. And so I just felt like I just wanted to share that, because I think a lot of people struggle with feeling like they're spiritual enough. And because this is a spiritual channel, some people seem to think that I have it all together. And I will be the first to tell you, I absolutely do not. And I don't even want to pretend like I do. I'm authentic about my struggles. And I don't even tell you guys half the struggles, because a lot of my struggles involve other people. I'm not going to include them in the mix. So I have to keep some of those things private. But truth be told, we all need to be authentic with God. And that way he can have something authentic to work with. So he can take us from one level to the next level. But if we're not real with him, and if we're not real with ourselves, then there's nothing that God can do with that. We've literally halted our growth. I just felt like that was important to share. I'm not even sure what I'm going to call this video, but I hope that you got something out of it. And I would like to do more of these casual sit down talks, because it's really hard for me to remember my scripts. And I just feel like I can just connect with you a little bit easier in these chit chats. Let me know what you think about this type of format, because I might be doing this going forward if you like it. But thank you so much for working with me in this channel. This is new. I'm just trying different things, and I want to see what you guys think about it. I'm so happy that you are here, and I really look forward to hearing from you in the comments below. So talk to you soon. Bye.